Okay, so I wanted to get a hold of you yesterday so that we can talk about. They just released the DAO pre-sale or the DAO ICO.
Yes.
Okay, you don't have to say how much money you put into it or anything like that. But my question to you is this, right? I thought that the ICO was for Slock.it. It's not.
No.
So is the ICO for Slock.it or is the ICO for the DAO?
The ICO is for the DAO that Slock.it is going to be a contractor to. Okay. Ty. Remember we talked about Factum? Right?
Yeah.
Where there is the Factum Foundation and the for-profit Factum Inc., right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we bought the factoids, we aren't buying Factum Inc., right? Factum Inc. is a private company, a for-profit private company, right, that works here in Austin, Texas, right? Slock.it, I think they're based in Germany somewhere.
Yeah, they're based in Europe, in Germany.
Yeah, they're based in Germany, and they are also a private for-profit company, right?
Okay.
They're going to be developing the locks.
Yeah,
right?
the smart locks.
The locks. Okay,
Yeah.
They're going to be okay, so then there's going to be the DAO, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to invest in.
Yeah,
right?
and just in case anyone's listening, the DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, which is like it's pretty much like a corporation or a company or a business on the blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah. And then you can go to daohub.org, and that is going to be the organization that we're investing in, right? And so there's a little graph here. If you went to see how it's going to work, the DAO is going to hire contractors, right? The contractors are going to produce the product that the DAO uses and charges for. Does that make sense?
Yes. Basically, the DAO is the DAO. I think that's what they call it. The DAO is the organization or the company or the corporation, and they are going to hire different contractors. I think they call it service providers.
Yeah, service providers is what they call them, but they're contractors, service providers, basically people that are organizations that are going to be working for the DAO, right?
Yes, matter of fact, they can hire you, they can hire me, but they're going to choose to hire a company called Slock.it.
Yes, they're going to hire Slock.it.
And that's Slock.it for the listeners.
Yeah. So they're going to hire Slock.it. That's going to be the first service provider, right?
Yeah.
The contractors are just like I work for Dell, and Dell hires contractors. Besides Dell employees, we also hire contractors, right?
Yes.
I've been a contractor before, right? For other companies.
Yeah.
Right? And I build apps that for the company to then sell
to the public.
To the public or whoever their customers are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of like we're not investing in Slock.it. We're investing in the DAO that's organized by people from the Slock.it team.
Okay. Now they can. So how is the DAO going to? They hire Slock.it, but in the future they can hire someone else too, can't they?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
And we hope they will, right? Hopefully, if this is successful, there will be other service providers besides Slock.it, right?
Okay. So so if you invest into the DAO right now because they're having the pre-sale or the ICO right now.
Yeah.
So when you invest into it, you are basically investing into a portion of the company or the organization.
A portion of the DAO, yes. You're getting tokens that give you the right to vote on proposals.
Yeah.
And also receive dividends from when when customers of the DAO use the products that the contractors made, right, or the service providers made.
Yeah. Okay, so Slock.it is not going to release a coin.
No, they are a private company.
Okay.
Based in Germany.
The DAO can be anybody. In this particular case, since it's the first use case scenario, it's the first time that this has ever happened, it just so happens to be that the Slock.it team members are also the same people that created the DAO.
Yes.
So that's where the confusion comes in.
That is where the confusion comes in, because it seemed okay. So the reason that Slock.it, the crowd sale, has been delayed is they really wanted to try to separate Slock.it from the DAO, right?
Okay.
They wanted it to be a separate legal, a separate legal entity, separate from themselves, right?
Yeah.
And really the DAO is they wanted to be a service provider for this organization, but they open sourced all the code to do this, right?
Yeah.
So you and I could just copy and paste the code and start our own DAO, right?
Okay.
Right? We could take the code and then just hack it up a little bit and launch a different DAO, different than this DAO, right?
Yeah.
Saying that this DAO, we want to go, I don't know, build our own little project, right?
Okay.
And then we can try to raise money too, right?
Yeah. But this DAO, its sole purpose is just for the smart lock project that is created by Slock.it.
Well, that's what the initial intent. That's the intention right now, right?
Yeah.
Because these are the guys. The guys putting this forward are the Slock.it guys, right?
Yeah.
The guys that set this up are the Slock.it guys. But I mean, once this DAO, they have a month-long, 26 days left. Once it's over, those are going to be the shareholders or the token holders of this DAO.
Okay.
And we will then start to, we will hire the Slock.it team, right, to produce smart locks for this DAO. That this DAO will then own these smart locks or sell these smart locks to customers, right?
Okay.
But yeah, if you read the website, that it's going to be.
So what's see? This is the part that's slightly confusing. Is what if the same team members are creating the Slock.it, the smart locks, the hardware and the software for the smart locks? Why don't they just create it from Slock.it? Why create the DAO for? There just seems to be more confusion to the public.
Well, because in the future, the idea is this DAO will be its own, like a corporation that
lives
autonomous,
that lives on the blockchain.
On its own, that lives on the blockchain. Okay, so the purpose of this idea is to create a company that exists solely on the blockchain. There's no CEO. There's no board of directors. There's no. It's made up of a bunch of smart contracts with these token holders, us, that we collectively, it's kind of like a democracy. It's not a democracy because you get the number of tokens you own is the number of votes. It's not one person per vote. It's one token per vote, right?
Yeah.
Or one. So whoever the shareholders are, or the token holders are, makes the decisions of what the DAO does, not Slock.it.
Okay. So basically, the team that created Slock.it also created the DAO. And let's just say me, you, all the other people in the public invest into the DAO. We are now part owners of the DAO. In the future, we can actually organize and remove Slock.it as a service provider if there is a new service provider that can do a better job.
Yeah, or we can add a new service provider, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is this, right? Several people have asked me, including what you called me to ask me was, how much to invest into the DAO, pre-sale, or how many DAO pre-tokens. So I have the stats here in front of me. They have already raised 1.05 million ethers, and that is the equivalent of $9.1 million US.
Yes, and counting.
Yeah.
Right? That's after 1 day. I mean, this is after just a day of going live.
Yeah, so yesterday when you texted me to let me know that they had started the DAO pre-sale, I looked at it, and by the time I had a chance to look at it yesterday, it was already at 6 million, and then this morning when I woke up, it's already at 9.1 million.
Okay, so if we want to play guess the number, I believe that by the time the end of May, when this sale ends, that they will raise over $100 million US. That's your projection? My projection.
Okay, how about this?
What am I basing that on? I'm basing it on the fact that Lisk raised $5 million, Waves is already at 2.5, 3, right?
Yeah.
And they just got 9 in the first day, right?
In the first 24 hours, basically.
24 hours as we're speaking, right?
Yeah.
So I'm projecting that they raise over $100 million.
Okay. I have a little bit more conservative, okay, let's do this, right?
Maybe 50. You asked me to give a more conservative estimate. I'd say they're going to raise about 50.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say, was that I was conservatively, because the way I look at it is that if Ethereum raised $18 million back in 2014, and Augur and
raised $5
million, and then
in October,
and then what's the other one that raised $5 million? Oh, Lisk, right?
Raised 5, yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm not going to go. I mean, we compare it to Lisk.io, and we can compare it to the Waves platform. .com ICO. Waves has run, let me see, ICO .waves platform right here. I'm looking at what they raised here, and
6,400 Bitcoins, yeah.
Yeah, so far they've raised, let me see.
6,442, yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's what I see too.
With a month to go, right? With a month to go.
Yeah. So I like to compare it to what's already other projects on the Ethereum blockchain. So if you look at Augur, they raised over 5 million, and if they did that with a very little fanfare and very little conference promotion or anything like that, then I think that this. For them to raise 18 million during the Ethereum with, Vitalik and the team running around the country and the world, promoting Ethereum and stuff, and they raised 18 million. Stephen Toole and the John's brothers, they've been going around at different conferences, promoting the DAO and Slock.it and everything. I believe that it's going to be around $50 million that they're going to raise.
Okay.
And,
that's possible. And
here's the other thing too. If you notice back in the back during the Ethereum, when people were raising money when they were raising money for Ethereum, most people were investing like half a Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoins, 5 Bitcoins, 10 Bitcoins at max. I don't know at max, but that was like the general public was investing 1 or 2 Bitcoins just to see if this Vitalik guy was for real and see if it works or not.
Yeah.
And then when it got to Lisk, you can see that there were people that were investing, like 2 or 3 Bitcoins, 5, 10 Bitcoins. And the money that those same people made from investing into Ethereum made money big time. And so they're taking a little bit more risk since it's not their money, it's the market's money, which is what, you and I always preach, is to use the market's money. And, once you build up a nest egg, use the market's money instead of your personal money. So, so more than likely, the people that made money from from the Ethereum pre-sale 20 months ago. Now they're going to go ahead and invest a little bit larger portion into the DAO.
That's where my money's coming from. It's not. I'm not putting any new money into the DAO. I'm taking the ethers that I already had and putting it in.
Yeah, so I'm doing the same thing, and matter of fact, me, you, and all our friends are doing the same thing. So so that's why I say that people are going to invest just a little bit more. And when I say, people that our listeners are always asking, hey, how much are you putting into this ICO? How much is that? What you're putting into that ICO? And I answered several comments on my YouTube channel. We don't want to mislead anyone. We don't want to, because each person has a different tolerance for risk. Obviously you and I have more experience in taking risk in the markets, in the stock market, in the futures market, in the, currency market, gold, silver, long before we got into cryptocurrencies. So we have an appetite for risk already. So, and if you guys are listening to this, that's the reason why Leon and I don't disclose how much we are investing, But we will say that we are investing a little bit more into the DAO than we did with Waves or with Lisk. Oh,
yeah.
Is that safe to say?
I will say significantly more, yeah.
Yeah. I will agree with you on that, okay? And that's simply because these are the same guys that worked on the Ethereum project when it first came out. You said that one of the guys, one of the John brothers, he wrote the client for Ethereum.
Uh-huh.
And then Stephen Toole and them did the same thing. But here, enough about the good stuff about the DAO and Slock.it, man. I do want to share something with you and the audience. Some of the things that I was concerned about when you texted me yesterday and said that the DAO pre-sale tokens were made available in the public, right? So you know that I've tweeted out to Stephen Toole and them and the Slock.it people, when I kept asking them when is the release date for the ICO, and they never responded. They said that, they're working as hard as they can to get the dates and everything.
Yeah.
To me, it was weird. It was weird. I found it weird that they just released it without making an announcement or anything. Like, there was no, hey, we're going to...
Ty, I've been following them.
Yeah.
They weren't going to give us any warning about, when...
Why not?
Well, I don't know. They didn't do that with the ethers. They was the same thing with the ethers when they went live. There wasn't any warning when Ethereum crowd sale launched. It was delayed, actually. Remember?
Yeah, but
it was January, and then they said, no, we're canceling it because we're not ready.
Yeah.
Right? And then they never gave a date, and in July it was boom. This is how I remember it. I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember getting any, maybe we did, or I've forgotten because it's been almost 2 years now, right? But I'll tell you this: there was a lot of indication that it was getting close. I just didn't know it was going to be yesterday, right? Because they had redone the website, they had really redone a lot of the web. A lot of moving pieces were. We knew it was any day now, but any day could have meant now, yesterday, or it could have been a few months from now, right? I mean, you're right. I had thought that based on all the delays that we were seeing, that it wasn't going to be until the summer, right? But yeah, I mean, they decided to launch it now, and I don't see a problem with that because it's not they're giving us 2 weeks to get our money in, right?
Yes, but I just want to share with our listeners because, I don't want people to think that you and I are trying to pump and dump any coin or anything. We're just investors, right?
Yeah, we're just investors.
We're just investors. We don't even know any of these people that we invest with, with the exception of I had a little bit of interaction with Max from the Lisk team, But other than that, and Vitalik that you and I interviewed and met him when he first started announcing about Ethereum.
2 years ago. Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
But everybody can see in the video that we're we're not best of friends or something like that. We have been accused, you and I have been accused online that we are his shield. We're pumping Ethereum for him, you know. And I think it's ridiculous because you can watch the videos and nobody said anything about me and you, So no one accuses of anything. When we first came out with the video interviews back in 2014 with James D'Angelo from the World Bitcoin Network, and now all of a sudden that we're talking about it again, people are accusing it. But it doesn't matter. Well, what matters is this. I just don't want the public to think that you and I are, pumping a DAO for anyone. We're just telling people what the research that we've done and what we're investing in, right? Here's the thing that I just want to make it clear that I do not like, okay? I do not like the idea that they did not post a public announcement of when the DAO presale was made available. Because if you didn't tell me yesterday that it was being released, I may not have found out until several days later, and now that just cut my time. There are people that may want to invest into it and not have time to prepare for to gather up some money to invest into it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
they could have been, as a courtesy, given us like at least a few days, right? We're launching starting 3, 2, 1, right? 3, 2, 1 days, right? But on the other hand, it does go for a month, right?
Yeah, but it's just it's just like it would be just out of courtesy for all the investors, the ICOs that we invest in are risky already as it is, right? And we don't know these guys. The least that he could do is at least inform the public of what they're doing, because this may be a conspiracy theory, right? But you know me, I'm a trader, so I'm always looking at the charts and looking at what's going on in the markets, right? And this is what I see. You're the fundamental guy, I'm the technical guy. This is what I see, okay? The price of Ethereum, if you look at the price of Ethereum, it was at like somewhere around 15, 16-ish millibits.
And
right?
Jumped, yeah.
Yeah, that's, in case anyone's listening not familiar with that, 16 millibits is 0.016, right? Yeah. So it jumped from somewhere around 16 millibits, and it jumped as high as almost 21 millibits, right? Yeah. So that's I don't know what percentage increase
that's
that is.
That's a 22% move. That's almost a 23% move, in a day.
Yeah, so that's over a 20% move in just a very short period of time. And what's to say that they did that on purpose, right? Just think about that. That if people knew about it ahead of time, they could have bought the Ethereum at 16 millibits or 17 millibits. Now, everyone
20, right?
Yeah, now everyone is paying 20% higher to buy the Ethereum to invest into, and that's why the price of Bitcoin. If you look at the price of Bitcoin, it dropped significantly. It dropped from like 456 down to like 446. So there's
I don't think that had anything to do with Ethereum. Ethereum, I think Bitcoin hit a resistance level. 470 was a major resistance level. I think it just got knocked down because of that. I know. Think it's because of this.
But here's the thing. I gotta share with the audience what I see, what I believe. You share your personal opinion, I share my personal opinion, right?
Sure.
So my belief is this. My belief is that they did not know when the Ethereum when they were going to. Obviously Stephen and them guys knew when they were going to release it internally. But I think what got them to just all of a sudden release it out of nowhere without any public announcement is that the price of Bitcoin ran up to past 470 in a very short period of time. If you look on the charts, the price of Bitcoin ran up from, in just the last couple of weeks, it ran up from the low 400s all the way up to 470 in no time at all. So what that's going to happen is that's going to force people, that's going to prevent people from buying a lot of Ethereum, from a lot of Ethers to invest into the DAO project.
But the Ethers were dropping against Bitcoin. It dropped all the way down to 16 millibits, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Less people are likely to sell out, okay? And so what's going to happen is as the Ethers are falling, I believe that the guys on the inside that knew that they were going to get this, they bought the Ethereum at a lower price.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Of course they would. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they not do it?
Sure.
Why would they not? I mean, if you were the one, if you were the one that created the DAO and you knew when you were going to release it, and I'm your best friend, why wouldn't you tell me, hey Ty, you know, the ethers are at 16 millibit. You need to pick up as much as you can because we're going to release the DAO pre-sale tokens the next day.
I don't doubt that happened. And guess what? This isn't a stock, right?
Yeah.
Like the insider trading laws don't apply here.
Yeah.
This is not a SEC regulated security. Right?
Yes. I agree. And that's the risk. You know, when you're looking to make a 5, 10, 20,000% profit or percent return on your investment, that's the risk that you take.
Yeah, but on the other hand, we knew this was coming. We just didn't know when, right? Like, this isn't news that everyone didn't. If you follow Ethereum, you follow Bitcoin, then you also follow Slock. You knew Slock was coming. Like, all of this news was already. It's not like the Slock.it and the DAO were. It's not like this came out of nowhere. Yeah. Right. Like, this was in the deck. We just didn't. I mean, this card. If we're playing blackjack or if we're playing poker. Yeah. We knew this card was in the deck somewhere, and it was going to come out. We just didn't know where in the deck it is, right? Yeah. So, I mean, sure. I mean, no one. You could have bought at 16 millibits. Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, you knew Slock.it was going to do their ICO. You just didn't know if it's going to be today or if it wasn't going to be 3 months from now, right, or after Memorial Day. I mean, I was thinking it was going to happen like in the summer sometime, right? Yeah.
Well, keep in mind, it's a German-based company. It's a European company. I don't think they care about the American Memorial Day. I don't think they take that, American Independence Day. I don't think they give a damn about, what American holidays are.
Yeah, but I just thought that, just like they had delayed the Ether crowd sale till July, right, till the summer, that it would probably. I was looking more for something like that. Obviously, if I knew that they were gonna release like in now, I would have been scooping up ethers at 16 millibits, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that people like you, myself, we could have bought extra ethers to invest into it.
But you know what? If they had made that announcement, it wouldn't have traded at 16 millibits. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have gotten that low to begin with because everyone would have been thinking the same thing.
Yeah, but at least because as long as that's always lingering in the back of my mind that hey, you know what? These guys are hooking up their homeboys first, telling their homeboys to get the. And another thing too is this: if you look, I believe that they might have been watching some of my analysis of Ethereum, and they probably saw that we're at all-time lows. So they probably decided, hey, let's.
Well, we're not at all-time lows. Come on, we're.
Hey, it's hitting a daily trend line. Okay, daily trend line. So they're picking it up. And somebody picked up a bunch of ethers. I'll tell you that to get into the DAO.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So that's I just wanted to share with you my assessment of what I see on the charts of how like the price has shot up out of nowhere. So.
Well, we know why it shot up. Right?
Because people were cashing out their bitcoins. They're taking their bitcoins and selling out and taking the bitcoins and buying ethers with it. So when they sell the bitcoins, it's going to crash. That's why I believe that the price of Bitcoin went down $10 is because...
Wait. I don't think that because the price of Bitcoin, I mean, this announcement happened yesterday. Yeah. And Bitcoin didn't really move. I mean, it really is saying, like I'm looking at the chart right now, yesterday, it was within 1%.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the guys, their friends that knew ahead of time that they were going to do the pre-sale, they cashed out their Bitcoins. And moved it over to Slock.
But they didn't cash out. That wouldn't affect the U.S. dollar price of Bitcoin, Ty.
Okay.
Right? That would affect the rate between ethers and Bitcoin, but it wouldn't affect the rate between Bitcoin and U.S. dollar.
Well, let's put it this way: $9 million just went into Ethereum.
But where did that $9 million come from? It didn't come from U.S. dollars. It came from people either already holding Ethers or already holding Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Because the price of Bitcoin didn't move since yesterday. If you looked at from yesterday to once that announcement hit, Bitcoin didn't go anywhere. Bitcoin to U.S. dollar stayed about where it is.
Yeah.
So it was all the, you know what it was, Ty? It was all the people all the Bitcoin holders who either missed the Ethereum train, or all the people that cashed out of Ethers back to Bitcoin, rushing back into Ethers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because this Slock.it, the money going into Slock.it is coming from the community that we already have. It's not new money coming in from U.S. dollars.
Yeah.
Right? Because if it were, we would see the price of Bitcoin to U.S. dollar going, because there's not really any way to get Ethers without going through Bitcoin.
Actually, somebody left a comment on our channel.
There is a way, but the volume is so small in that market. All right? I mean, you're looking at the Bitcoin Ether market trades something like 50 million a day, and 90% of that is Bitcoin to Ethers, not. I mean, the Ether to U.S. dollar is like 5% of the volume, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, and then I think the other 5% is the Ether to Euro or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's 7% of that is I haven't looked, but something like that, right? Like 90% of the volume in Ethers is Bitcoin to Ether, not Ether to U.S. dollar or Ether to Euro. Yeah.
No, that's just I just wanted to share my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All
so
right.
That's all. Now, the question that everybody keeps asking us, and that you just asked me too when you called me, is that how much money should someone put into the DAO presale? How much should somebody invest? Correct?
Yeah, but that's a very personal decision, right?
Yeah, that's a personal decision. And what I did to all my friends and coworkers, this is what I told them, okay? And I'm just going to share my strategy with you, you know. You and I already both know that no one on their own is going to go in and invest into a cryptocurrency. No matter how much you and I shout at the top of our lungs that people should be investing in this, it could be a life-changing money for them, no one's actually going to do it. Remember how I introduced you. It was me who introduced you to Bitcoin. And even then, I didn't buy it until you helped me get my first Bitcoins. Remember that?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Okay, so here's the thing that I did with all my friends and the people, my coworkers, okay? I told them that no matter what I say to them, no matter what it is, they're not going to invest into it, right? So what I did was I guaranteed them. What Eric and I did was that we guaranteed our friends that if they're willing to invest $100 into the DAO, into the Waves platform, into the Lisk, any ICO, that if they lose money on it, we would be willing to pay them back the $100.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because to us, like some of my best, you know how like you took the risk to buy my first Bitcoins for me? You took that risk because you knew that it was going to be a life-changing event for me, a life-changing or potential to be a financially life-changing investment for me, right?
Sure.
So you took that risk and, hey, let me get you your first Bitcoin so that otherwise, if you keep dicking around, you're never going to get it. And then once you help me get it, then that's when I was able to move the Bitcoins back and forth and then be able to see, okay, so this is how it works, right? So that's what I did with my friends and Eric and I are doing with our friends and coworkers, is that no matter how much we preach to them that this is life-changing, they're still not going to do it because it's so new to them. And then by the time they actually do the research to understand what it is, it's already over.
Yeah.
Right? So what I did was I told all my friends that if they are willing to invest into any of these ICOs, right, that I would cover their loss up to $100. And the reason why I said only $100 is that because it's so small, it's negligible, right?
Yeah.
And then the second thing is that it's just enough to where if it turns 10x, they make $1,000. Then they can use that $1,000 to go and invest into more.
The next thing. Yeah.
The next thing, take like another $100 or $200 and invest into the next ICO, And you and I already agreed that there's going to be more opportunities coming up, but this is not the end.
Yeah,
of it.
this is not going to be over. This is definitely good. Especially if Slock.it is successful here.
Yeah.
If Slock.it achieves, they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna raise $50 to $100 million US dollars.
Yeah.
And if that turns into billions, right? Which there's a very high likelihood that it will.
Yeah.
We are going to see. Personally, I believe it's going to be a boom that we have never seen before.
Even beyond the iPhone boom that just ended.
Yeah, it's going to be something, I would say, larger than the iPhone and the smartphone boom that we just went through over the last 10 years, it's been about 10 years.
Hey, by the way, we got to make a separate video where we formally announce the end of the iPhone boom.
It's not. End of a boom is not a crash.
No, it's not. It's just at the end of that era.
I don't even want to say it's the end of an era. I just think that it's kind of like the PC. I think it's more analogous to when the PC era ended. It never really ended. Like, we all still use PCs, right?
Yeah.
But it's no longer where the hyper-growth opportunity it once was. Right?
Yeah.
It's just more of a steady business that, it's a bread and butter business, right?
Yeah.
It's a time when there's a certain period of time when an industry is born, and you can make a lot of money in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it becomes bread and butter, right? It becomes just another business that you get a job and you get that paycheck, and you look for new opportunities with that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we don't get too far off track, and mix up the iPhone with the DAO here, What are your thoughts on what I just said about me and Eric, helping to cover the $100 risk with our friends and coworkers, just so that they get exposed to, learning how to invest into...
I still, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I think it's nice you guys are doing that, but I don't think I think it also, part of investing is
learning how to handle risk.
Learning how to handle the risk, and I'm not sure that by you taking away that risk, it really teaches them. You know what I'm saying? I think it's kind of like what I've been doing is like my friends the other day, my coworkers, where I said that, you know what, I'll sell you $20 of Bitcoin, right? Like give me $20. You got a $20. You got a Benjamin in your pocket. Give it. Right. And I'll give you Bitcoin, some of the $20 worth of Bitcoin I have right now.
Yeah.
And then they can, what's $20, right?
Yeah.
And then they took that $20 and because it's not really that I'm even $100, if you make 20 or 30 or 40 times your money, that's not a life-changing amount, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You only need to give them enough that it incentivizes them to go do the research themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so that they get because I don't want to take the risk away, because part of being a successful investor is you being willing to take on that risk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're willing to put your money on the line, and if somebody else is guaranteeing you that money, you're not learning anything, right?
Okay. Yeah, and you don't deserve to make 10,000, 20,000% profit if you're not willing to take the time to learn about the investment. And
or if you're not willing to take the risk, is the same thing, right? You may not need to take. You may not need to even learn. Like many of my friends didn't learn about Ethereum, didn't learn about Bitcoins. They just simply said, "Well, Leon knows, Leon. I know Leon, and he knows a lot of stuff." And
we're friends with the Oracle of Austin. We don't need to learn anything. Wherever Leon invests, that's where we're going to invest.
I'm just.
He's the one driving He's the one driving the Maserati and the Tesla, so we'll just follow along.
Yeah, exactly. But how much money you make and lose, as when it comes to investing, is only dependent on how much money you risk, not depending on how much you know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as investments goes, you made the same amount of money whether you knew about Ethereum or you didn't know, right? You made the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Exactly the same amount of money, whether if you were one of us and we spent months researching it, or if some of my friends who knew nothing and said, all right, I'm going to throw a few $1,000s into it, a few Bitcoins into it, just because Leon did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They walked out with the same amount of money, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, that's why I think that if you taking away that risk, you're taking away.
You're saying I'm doing them a disservice.
Yeah, I feel that way because they have to learn how to take a risk, and the best way to take a risk is put a very small amount of money, like a Benjamin, like $20, right? And and I give you some Bitcoins, and then what's most valuable is that they go use that Bitcoin. Either they go buy a Starbucks gift card and go get some coffee with it, right?
Yeah.
Or they, one of my coworkers, he bought I gave him some Bitcoins, and then he figured out how to go to Shapeshift and get 2.5 ethers with it, right?
Yeah.
And then now he's going to take those 2.5 ethers and go buy some Slocks with it, right? I mean that's
This is what I did. The friends that we're doing with are actually traders and investors already.
Yeah.
So they're not we wouldn't do it for someone that's never traded or invested a day in their life. These people are actively trading and investing in the traditional stocks, futures, commodities, Forex markets already, but they're just completely new, because they hear so many bad things about cryptocurrencies and about Bitcoin.
I think the way to do that is to explain it. Many of my colleagues are technologists, like me. Obviously, that's who I work with.
Yeah.
So I can explain it in very technical terms. I can talk about hashing. They know what a hash is. They know what public-private key encryption is. They know what Tor networks are. They know what BitTorrent and peer-to-peer networking. I have that to explain to them, right?
Yeah, so it makes it easier for you because your friends.
It's a little bit, because I'm in the tech field, so I can use concepts that they are already familiar with. Yeah. To explain it to them, right? Or how we're putting these concepts together to make this thing work, right?
Yeah.
You have to take a little bit of a different route with people who don't have a technology background.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes I think the easiest way, even for technology people, is just to demo it, right?
Yeah.
I was like, hey, you know what? You got an iPhone, you got an Android, go download this wallet.
Yeah.
And I'll sell you $20 of Bitcoins right now. Right? You got $20 in your pocket. Hand it over. Give it to me, right?
Yeah.
And I'll give you some Bitcoins. I'll do it, for this demo.
Yeah.
I'll send it to your phone, right? And then what do I do with it, right? Well, now you got $20. Go get a $25, gift card or a $20 gift card from Starbucks and go get yourself a coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And think about just what happened, right?
Yeah.
That's how you can demonstrate this, right?
Yeah.
It's by demoing the technology.
Yeah.
Right? And pointing out that, hey, you know what? I just paid you.
So let's talk about this. Okay, so what if somebody is new to investing in cryptos? I think that investing $100 US dollars is just enough to where, when it turns 10 times, they get a 1,000% profit or a 5,000% profit, that it's worthwhile to them. Because they can take that $100 and turn it into 1,000, or take that $100 and turn it into 5,000, and then that way they can see it for themselves.
Oh yeah, I have a few friends that did exactly that. I had gotten them into all the people who invested something into Ethereum at the time we did back in July. They're all sitting on tens of thousands of dollars, and believe me, they're all if they've made tens of thousands of dollars, they're now researching this stuff as much as we are. Believe me, if you just made anywhere between 10 and 50 grand on a $1,000 or less investment. Yeah. Right. What else are they going to do? They've never made that kind of money in their lives, right? Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Okay. Well, does that help you answer the question that you asked me earlier about how much your friend should invest? Yeah. It really, like I said, I think it's about risk, and everyone's in a different financial position as to how much risk they can take.
Yeah.
And it's about managing that risk, and you have to respect the possibility that this might blow up and they might all fail, right? I personally don't believe that, because I'm looking at all the people involved in this.
Yeah.
And they've succeeded, and I don't, in life, winners tend to keep winning, right?
Yeah.
All of these guys are coming from the Ethereum team. The Ethereum team are behind this. If you go to the DAO website, you can click on curators, and all of those guys are basically involved with the Ethereum Foundation in one way or another, right?
Yeah, so they basically, the advantage that I think that these guys have, like Stephen Toole and Jonch and them have, the Jonch brothers have, is that they have Vitalik on their team. They have
the support of him.
Yeah,
right?
they have the support of him, and they can easily access him and use his brain power to help them if they get into a bind or get stuck with something.
Yeah,
they have
not only Vitalik, the entire Foundation team. It's a lot more than just Vitalik. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure that Vitalik is putting a huge investment into this too. I'm sure that when he cashed out his 25% of his Ether holdings, that he's putting a lot of it into this DAO project.
I bet they all are.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they? They just turned Ethereum into $1 billion project. Why wouldn't they do it with this one? Because they're set for life from the Ethereum project. Why not do this one and then become the next Bill Gates or the next Michael Dell or something like that? Or Zuckerberg. Yeah. So why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And then along the way, maybe we can hang out with them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So I already tweeted to Vitalik, whenever he comes down to Texas, man, let us know.
Yeah, sure.
We'll take him for a ride in the Ethereum Tesla mobile, the Ethereum sedan that you got.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
So does Andrea have any other questions about that?
No, I think we have all. That's the this is one of the. I think this is the investment of the year that we've been waiting for. Waiting to get on, and I'm holding some back because I think that there'll be, especially there'll be new projects coming the way, especially after we see them raise 50 to 100 million. I think that's what they're going to do, right?
Yeah. I am projecting that they raise over 50 million. And here's what I'm going to also do that I might consider doing. I'm considering, investing into some of it now while they still have before the, because they're incentivizing the public to put their money, to invest their money now. So they're giving out 100 DAO tokens for every one Ether that you send to them. I think it's going to cut down a little bit, right? Probably. I don't know.
It's going to go down to 1.1. It's 100 to 1 right now, and it's going to go down to 100 for 1.5 in 2 weeks.
So it's basically. It's going
to start going down in 2 weeks. Yeah, it's going to stay the same for 2 weeks, and it's going to start going down in 2 weeks. Up until the last 4 days, it's going to be 1.5 Ethers for 100, or about 56 to 1. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, right now you can buy 100 DAO tokens with 1 Ether, and basically what you're saying is that after this initial 2 week bonus period is over, you're only going to get 50 DAO tokens for every 1 Ether that you send them.
Or you're going to get, by the time it ends, it's going to cost you 1.5 Ethers to get 100.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why they did it like that, because that number is confusing. I'd rather they just say, hey, you only get 50 Ethers for each.
Yeah, 2 to 1 would have been a round number. Yeah, sure.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I hope I did the math correctly there. But anyway, it's a smaller amount. It's a smaller amount regardless of how you look at it, okay?
Yeah, it is.
And what I might do is this. I might put some in. I have actually not bought any DAO tokens as of this this call that you and I are having right now. I'm going to do it later on after I get off this call. I'll probably post this call recording long, before I even make the purchase, right? But here's the thing. I'm going to make the purchase, and then I'm going to wait, and if it continues to go up, because at the pace that they're going, let's just say even if they cut their funding, if they only receive half the funding every day for the next 10 days or so, right? They already got $11 million. They've been averaging about $6 million a day. So let's just say
they're not going to get $6 million a day. This is the first day they're going to get a bunch, and the last few days they're going to get a bunch.
Yeah, and let's just say the funding gets cut in half. Let's just say that their $6 million gets cut to $3 million tomorrow, and then to $1.5 million, to $500,000, to $250,000. It's still a lot. It's still going to be, in my opinion, way more than what the Ethereum Presale is going to do.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The Presale was only Ethereum only raised 18 million, and they did half of that the first 24 hours, right?
Okay, yeah. And then before the 12-day ends, where you can still get the early bird bonus, I might add some more to my investment depending upon how much they raise.
Yeah.
And I think that you probably have the same mindset, right?
Yeah, I'm also watching. I think as the price of the ethers have pulled back to about 8.5 from 9.
Yeah.
So if the ethers, if this spike on ether, I think there was a panic buy. Everyone panicked to buy ethers on this news, right? So we had that 23% spike. But I think that's going to get worked off, and the price of ethers will come down over the next week or two, I think, right? Back towards, 8 or under 8 even.
You think so?
And then I think it'll pull back. Yeah, it's already pulling back. I think it'll pull back closer to 8.
Well, here's it's funny you say that, because based on my last Ethereum video, on my last price prediction video, I said that it will be going up. And I said that I put a stop loss in there, and I told everyone that if it broke below 16.5 millibits to get out, which it did. So I hope everyone that was listening actually got out and they didn't hold on to it. And then I told everyone that if it gets back up to the original entry, they can always get back in.
Yeah. But they're going to get back in at 18, 19, 20. It's not. They're not going to get back at 16.5.
No, but there's nothing wrong with that. At least you didn't lose a lot. There's nothing wrong with having a few small losses until you hit the big one. Because it's better to get out at 16.5, like I had said in the video, than to take a beating and take heat while it's going down. Like right now it's going back up, but it's okay. You can always get back in, and that's where So. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So is the Oracle of Austin going to say that they're going to raise $50 million? You're going to make your call. You're going to stick with that call, right?
I am going to say, in the back of my mind, I think $50 million is the minimum that they're going to do. I really think that's like the bottom end, and they're already at 10 or 11 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
9, 10, 11. But I'm going to say 50 million is the minimum. I would not be surprised if they get 100 million US dollars.
Okay, so I'm going to make my call here, and this is the Oracle of Dallas. Maybe, hey, you know what? I have not been anointed the Warren Buffett of crypto by James D'Angelo yet, so I don't think I can. I'm allowed to refer to myself as the Oracle of Dallas. Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm going to make the call that they're going to raise over 50 million, but I'm not going to make the call that they're going to raise 100 million. I don't see that in my sights at all. Okay, and that's just my opinion. So we agree on the minimum, but we disagree on the maximum, the highest.
Well, let's see how fast they get to 50 million. All right?
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Being in the investing world, crypto changes quickly. And you have to be able to adapt quickly, too. So if they raise $50 million before the early bird period is over, we'll come back and reevaluate and update our call.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with, making adjustments as you go along as new data and new information come up. So, but based on the current information, we can both agree that they're going to raise a minimum of $50 million, and that you say there's a good likelihood they can raise 100, and I say that they won't.
Sure.
Okay. So, but if things change, depending upon how fast they get to 50 million, we'll come back and reevaluate and update the audience on it. All right.
All right,
man. Thanks for the call, man. And if you guys have any questions or comments or suggestions for future topics that you want the Oracle of Austin and myself to discuss, leave it in the comments and the questions below. And then we'll see you guys in the next podcast, and we hope you guys make a bucket load of money from listening to us.
All right, man. I'll catch you later.
All right, man. Take care, bro.